I grew up in a big Disney family. One of my favorite fun little aspects of being in Disney World is that as soon as you cross through the entryway arch, the road signs change. There's three characteristics of those road signs that really stick out to me. One, they're really clear. There is no confusion. Two, they're distinct. You know that you're someplace different. Three, they're intentional. The Imagineers did studies to see which colors people most remember. Those three characteristics of Disney road signs are my three hopes for the vocation of brotherhood moving into the future. Clarity, distinction, intentionality. The document Identity and Mission, I think, suffers a little bit from a fuzzy definition of what the brotherhood really is and a multiplication of biblical images. I think moving into the future, what we really need are two things. One clear scriptural icon that we can use as a pericope to understand the vocation that we ourselves live. And two, a clear slogan, a brand. I think sometimes we try to over-explain the vocation of brotherhood, whereas really we just need to say something like, well, brotherhood is our mission. That concept of brotherhood, that ideal of fraternity, is the very thing we're trying to embody. People should be a little bit confused when they encounter us, but not in the way that they normally are. I taught high school freshmen for 9 years up at our school in Buffalo, and I taught them Hebrew Scriptures. And Hebrew Scriptures points to a threefold dynamic of being separated, being named, and being tasked. I think the document on the brotherhood, what it doesn't accomplish so well is the separating piece. One of the biblical passages that it uses at some length is the story about Jesus washing the disciples' feet, which is, of course, the passage used during the Mass of the Lord's Supper on the evening of Holy Thursday, and is generally associated with the priesthood. The document oftentimes goes out of its way to make a reference about how the things it says are equally applicable to the vocation of religious sisters. I love the good religious sisters who taught me and who formed me in my Catholic faith, and I love what they still do today. But I'm not a religious sister. I don't want my vocation to be defined in comparison to priesthood or religious sisters. I think one of the things we need moving forward is to clearly define who we are as distinct and original and complete in and of ourselves. People, when they encounter us, should know that they're dealing with something different. Both Identity and Mission and Fratelli Tutti talk about the need for a radical way of life. We need something of a radicalism reboot. People on the outside in the secular world are starting to do that radical way of living better than we are. Minimalism, the tiny house movement, the desire to live off grid. The difference, though, is that the secular radical lifestyle tends to be pretty isolated. Whereas I think what we have to offer is that our radicalism is more communal. It is who we are. We are meant to be brothers. We're meant to embody that culture of encounter. It's one of the things I love most about being a brother, the approachability of our lifestyle. People need to see that there is an intentionality behind the way that we live our lives.